All right, since we have hit the hour mark, I think we are going to go ahead and get started because we have a lot of awesome content to cover in our time here today. Hi, everyone. My name is Lindsay Josephs, and I work as a demand generation specialist here at OpenStax. And for the first 5 or so minutes of the webinar, I'm just going to provide a brief introduction to OpenStax and what we do. A lot of the folks in this call are already familiar with OpenStax, but if you're new to OpenStax, there's a few key things you'll want to know about who we are and what we do. OpenStax is an educational initiative based out of Rice University, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. Our mission is to improve educational access and learning for everyone. The main way that we do this is through publishing a library of over 60 free, online, peer-reviewed, openly licensed textbooks for both college and K-12 courses. Since 2012, we have published over 60 textbooks and in the process have become the world's leading publisher of free, open educational resources. OpenStax has had an incredible impact on instructors and students around the globe, and this impact would not have been possible without our ally partners like DigitalEd, as well as incredible audience members and supporters like you. From 2012 through 2023, we have served over 36 million students, have saved students nearly $3 billion in textbook costs, and have published over 65 titles and counting. 70% of all colleges and universities in the US use OpenStax, and over 6,000 K-12 schools do as well. We recently hit OpenStax usage in 150 countries, which is an awesome accomplishment, and once again would not have been possible without our ally partners and our instructors who support us in everything that we do. OpenStax's main area of work involves publishing a library of free, openly licensed textbooks. OpenStax textbooks look a lot like other textbooks that are out there on the market. However, unlike textbooks that aren't open educational resources, OpenStax textbooks are 100% free to access online and customizable. Like traditional textbooks, OpenStax textbooks are written and reviewed by industry experts and are not crowdsourced. We compensate our incredible, accomplished authors for their contributions to OpenStax. All of our textbooks are aligned to the standard scope and sequence of their respective courses, so it's easy for instructors to implement OpenStax textbooks into existing courses. In addition to being written and peer-reviewed by experienced faculty and subject matter experts, all OpenStax textbooks, like traditional textbooks, undergo a rigorous editorial process to ensure that the content is up to date, clear to understand, and representative of diverse student audiences. OpenStax is best known for our textbooks, but we offer much more than that. We know that teaching and learning involves having a strong support system and having an array of resources to help you. All OpenStax textbooks come with a unique suite of free instructor and student resources. The resources available vary by title, but some of the most common ancillary resources that we offer include test banks, lecture slides, solutions manuals, customizable docx files that allow you to download our books and customize them to meet your course needs, as well as LMS course cartridges. Another awesome thing about OpenStax is that our textbooks are available in a variety of formats. Our textbooks are available for free on our website in WebView and downloadable PDF formats. Because our textbooks are available for free online, students have access to our books from day one of class. All they need to do is go to our website. We also understand that a lot of students prefer print, and some instructors do as well. So we also sell print versions of OpenStax textbooks through campus bookstores and our Amazon page. Additionally, all of our instructor and student resources are available for instructors and students through free OpenStax accounts. OpenStax offers a variety of technology products alongside our textbooks. we partner with a variety of incredible organizations like DigitalEd, who are known as our OpenStax allies. OpenStax allies help to enrich the OpenStax experience for instructors and students alike by offering low-cost, high-value resources to support our user base. Additionally, our OpenStax allies provide OpenStax with mission support fees, allowing us to keep our books current and accessible for all. I'm very happy today to introduce DigitalEd, one of our incredible OpenStax allies. And now I will hand it over to the DigitalEd team.
Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks everyone for coming to today's webinar, Transforming STEM Content with Engaging Content with Möbius. Before I dive into things, just a few housekeeping items to talk about. We'll be covering a wide variety of things today, but just to welcome everybody, I'm going to talk about our presenters and who's doing what during today's webinar, and then we'll end with a few minutes for Q&A for us here at DigitalEd. But if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A window at the far right of your screen, and then Haley and I will be sure to save a few minutes at the end to go over these questions. And again, if we don't have time to get to your question, don't worry, we'll be sure to follow up with you afterwards through email. But just to give you an idea of who we are, so my name is Johnny Zivku. I work in product marketing at DigitalEd. So a lot of what I do in my day-to-day is working with the marketing team, our sales team, our customer success team to help just with understanding the product and to meet the needs of our customers. And I'll pass it over to Haley to cover herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Haley Reed. I'm our instructional design and enablement specialist at DigitalEd. I work a lot with our customer experience team, so doing a lot of customer support things. I have completed my master's degree in pure mathematics at the University of Waterloo, and I have over 5 years of experience working in mathematics post-secondary education.
Thanks, Haley. So before I go into some detail about OpenStax and what that means for us, let me talk about Möbius itself and DigitalEd. So at DigitalEd, we have 3 different solutions to fit your need. We have Möbius, which is digital course and assessment delivery, Möbius Grading, which allows you to take paper-based assessment delivery and digitize the grading process and feedback delivery process to efficiently speed up how you do things in that regard. And then we have a placement solution. It's the Möbius MAA Placement Test Suite, which allows you to deliver high-quality placement tests from the MAA online to the Möbius platform. Now, today we'll obviously be focusing on Möbius itself. So Haley will dive into the platform and show you different parts of the system and its benefits. But at a high level, Möbius is used for lesson delivery, topic delivery, homework, drill and practice, and different types of formative and summative assessment. There's different things in the platform that just make it such a great, unparalleled learning experience. Within Möbius, we have a world-class math engine that makes Möbius the most optimal solution for STEM content and STEM delivery. Feedback's also immediate. Everything is graded automatically. It's also meaningful, though. That's the important part. Is that it's not just static feedback that a student receives. It can be meaningful. Can we explain to students, exactly for their question they received, what went right, what went wrong. A lot of it's visual as well in nature. So a lot of the content you can create and the content you get, for example, through our partners like OpenStax is very visual in nature, high impact multimedia, very powerful. And with that in mind, though, you can also go beyond simple question types, right? So multiple choice, true and false, fill in the blanks, obviously possible with Möbius, but going beyond that to really more STEM and math specific content is possible with our platform and very popular, I should say. Different types of math formulas and equations and expressions you can grade and ask questions about. You can have more interactive questions where they sketch and plot responses to a question. They can respond using free body diagrams for more applied math content. But what's even cool is that you can even do more open-ended questions, where you ask students to, show their understanding of a concept or topic by, giving examples of things, right? So the questions can be, to give examples of, functions with certain properties, matrices that, meet certain criteria, expressions or equations that do certain things. And Möbius will grade for understanding of concepts rather than just computations and calculations. And more importantly, too, is to mention is that we integrate with your ecosystem. So if you have an existing platform, which I'm sure you all do, like an LMS, like Blackboard or Canvas or D2L, Möbius seamlessly plugs into them to make delivery of STEM content even easier for your campus and your students. With that in mind, though, a big part of our platform is active learning, where students will actually engage with the learning materials to participate in the learning model. Traditionally, students listen and they hear and they consume it, but there isn't much of a back and forth. With Möbius, it's designed to have that active learning two-way channel experience. That's all possible with our platform. Like I mentioned before, everything is automatically graded. And I can't stress that enough. Whether it's in the middle of a lesson or course notes or textbook, students can practice homework immediately and questions and get automatic feedback. But also when they complete assignments and homework and practice tests and exams, everything is automatically graded. The feedback itself is immediate. Things can be partially graded, and grading itself can be customized for the students and for the reason why you're asking questions. What's also important to mention is, though, even though things are automatically graded and the feedback's immediate, as an instructor or administrator, you have control over what students see and what they don't see, and when they see it. So the automatic grading is great from a student's perspective because they get it immediately, but it's also great from your perspective as an educator. It saves time on having to grade things manually, and it also saves effort in having to review all the feedback at once. So it's all done for you, and you can focus more on teaching then. But also, Möbius is reliable. It's on a cloud platform. That's 24/7 support. And like I mentioned before, we seamlessly integrate into your existing learning management system architecture. We are certified providers for integration, so there's no problems there. And I can't stress this enough, but it's a cost-effective solution, and it goes hand in hand with the OpenStax messaging. It's not just about saving time with grading and delivery of platform. It's also cost and expense. We do have a very aggressive pricing structure to ensure that students can afford these things. It's equitable access, and it's part of our overall strategy. With that in mind, let's talk a little bit about our commitment with OpenStax. So we have 8 books right now from OpenStax available in the platform, and this content is great. The titles are listed here: Pre-Calculus and the Calculus series, Algebra, Trig and Algebra, Stats, and Physics is available in Möbius today. Now, what this means is that these course packs from OpenStax you can use as a customizable starting point to a complete course in Möbius. As Lindsay already mentioned, a lot of this OpenStax content has already been peer-reviewed, and it's credible, right? It's gone through the ringer, and it's really trusted by many different educators across North America. And the way that we've taken this material is that OpenStax chapters are digestible sections in Möbius, and they're Möbius lessons, and these contain practice questions in the middle of it that students can answer and get immediate feedback. And a lot of this content is what we call algorithmic, meaning students can try these questions in the middle of lessons repeatedly, and each time they try it, they're regenerated with different versions of the same question. So students don't just remember solutions and can type them in every time. It's actual engaging, and it has them practice it multiple times, and they can progress through the OpenStax chapters and lessons when they're comfortable. And what we've also made available is a whole bunch of additional OpenStax questions that you can use to build out further assessments for formative or summative reasons. So those are all available in Möbius as Möbius questions for you to take and kind of go the extra leap to have the holistic solution available in Möbius. Now, a few other things to mention when it comes to OpenStax plus Möbius. So all the content is fully customizable. So I imagine a lot of you who are attending are familiar with the OpenStax textbooks, and those are available in Möbius, but you have full control to customize and change and add your own content alongside the OpenStax content to truly have a solution that suits and aligns to your syllabus and your curriculum at your institution. I found that talking to educators is that no two offerings are the same. So with Möbius and OpenStax, consider a jumping off point to truly give you all the resources you need to get up and running with a really high quality course, but you have the opportunity to really modify and change to suit your needs at your institution. Alongside all this stuff, in content and delivery is the Möbius gradebook and Möbius analytics. This allows you to get both a individual perspective on how students are going through your courses and consuming the content and understanding concepts, to more higher level views of your class and your institution, your sections, to see different trends in performance understanding. So with that in mind, I'm going to pass things over to Haley to dive more into the solutions and how Möbius can really take your content to the next level.
Thanks, Johnny. Okay, yeah, I'm going to dive right into what the OpenStax Calculus Volume 1 course can look like inside of Möbius. So I'm going to share my screen and make sure that it works. Okay, Johnny, can you let me know, can you see Möbius?
Yes, I can see it. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. And maybe just double check the chat in case someone says they can't see it. But okay, so this is a quick look at what the class homepage would look like from an instructor's point of view. It's also very, very similar to what it would look like from the student's point of view. It just wouldn't have for a student this class message notification and options to change and edit the class. But this bottom part would definitely look exactly like this for a student view. I quickly just created a course for us this morning, and I imported all of the OpenStax Calculus 1 content. So we can see down here a list of all of the different chapters of the book. So if I wanted to jump in and take a look at chapter 1, you can see we have all of the different lessons in here. Maybe I want to take a look at trig functions. So I'll either click here at the name of the chapter or on the start button, either one. And we can see here the beginning of the lesson of section 1.3. So we have a page for learning objectives, and I can kind of click through the different sections of the lesson and take a look at what is happening here. So you can see here I have the actual lesson content. I then have the examples that are listed in the book. We have them all defaulted to have these toggle options to actually see the solutions for the examples. So when a student is first learning, they can click on this show solution and make sure that they understand the example. If they come back for a second pass or a third pass, this will always be hidden, so that maybe they can try this on their own first before they take a look at the solution. But then we also have all of these Möbius questions for the checkpoints of all of the lessons. So these questions are all algorithmic. You can click the try another button, so students can actually type in their answers here and try another, and they'll get different versions of the question. You can see my numbers are changing here. So that's kind of a quick look at how they could navigate and interact with the platform. I want to show you a specific example in the derivatives section, or no, in the integration section. So you can see I was playing around in it this morning. So you can see this little yellow arrow means that the lesson is in progress. So I can hit resume or click on the lesson. Okay, so this is our integration substitution lesson. And in this proof section here, there's a really great example of an algorithmic question. So for this checkpoint, we're asked to use substitution to find the antiderivative of this given function. I know that the answer to this version is x to the power of 7 minus 6. You can see I'm just typing in my answer here. I know this will be to the power of 7. I know this will be over 7. And I also know that I need to have constant of integration. So I can now click how did I do to see if I got the answer correct. It's going to load. Okay, so now you can see it's highlighted with a green box here to say, yes, I got the correct answer. And if I scroll down, I can see the feedback for the question. So this is feedback that explains the solution to the problem. And this feedback will actually change if I had a different version of the question. So if I click this try another button down here, you can see now that I have a completely different version of the question. And so if I type in, maybe I'll put the wrong answer this time. So 6 to the power of 4 divided by 4, but I'll leave off my constant of integration this time. So I know that that's going to be the incorrect answer, and I'll click how did I do? And now you can see that I have a red highlighted box, so this is the incorrect answer. If I hover over, I can quickly see my answer versus the correct answer. And if I go down into the feedback, you can see that the feedback has now changed to match my new version of the question, and I can take a look and see where I went wrong. In this case, all I did was forget my constant of integration, so it will remind me in the future that I need to add that plus C. Okay. So this is the basic idea of how a student would interact with the book and the content. In my personal opinion, I think this is a great opportunity or a great thing to use for a flipped classroom style learning. We have all of the lesson content. The students can do practice on their own and then come into class and do some more practice and ask some questions with you. It could also serve as a great complement to just regular in-class learning, and students can come and have this as a point of reference and to do more practice on their own throughout the lessons. That being said, if you are going to use it in a flipped classroom or in your own just as a complement to your in-class lessons, you may want to make some adjustments to this. You may not want exactly what is being shown here. So let's take a look at how we might change this. So I'll go back to my home page. Okay, so from here at the home page, as an instructor, you'll have these options up here. The students will not see them. And you can click on the content repository button. And this will show you the behind the scenes of how the content is put together. So you will have full access to this. You can click in. So right now I'm in, I was in the lessons and assignments. I'll click into just lessons, and you can see that it's all separated here by chapter. So maybe in, let's see, if I look at chapter 6, maybe in my course, I don't actually cover moments and centers of mass in my course. So if I don't, maybe I can just simply say, you know what, I don't want to have this in my course, so I'm going to delete this lesson from my course. So I can confirm. And now if I refresh, the content repository will refresh, and you can see that lesson is now gone. So I don't need to worry about it anymore. It's just completely gone. Another thing that I may want to do is edit specific lessons. So let's say if I'm in the derivatives section on differentiation rules, I may not want, maybe I'm teaching a course for a math course for social science students or for science students, and I don't need my course to be super rigorous, and I don't require my students to know or understand the proofs. So maybe I don't want to have the proofs in my lessons. So I'm going to try to edit these pages so that I can remove the proofs. So before I do that, you can see I had gone into this before. I had an active attempt, so I'm going to force grade that first. You can see this was me. I was in there looking at the activity. So the reason why I have to do this, let's say this was a live version of the course and students were actively inside of the lessons and doing some practice. I wouldn't be able to edit it while they're actively in there. If they hadn't hit submit, it'll still say active. So if I want to make some changes, I got to make sure I boot them out of there first. So I'll do that. And then I can go in and I can actually edit this entire lesson. Maybe, if it will load. It always takes a long time to load when we're screen sharing. Okay, there we go. So I can edit this lesson. You can see all of the different pages of the lesson. I can click through and look at the different pages, which again is taking a second to load here. There we go. It's taking a while to load for me today while I'm screen sharing. And I can see the different points where I have, so let's say I click on this power rule one that has 3 different items in it. And while it loads, so there's an item for some lesson content itself. I have another item here, which is an actual question. So you can see this is the lesson content. I also have this question that I've added in here. And then I have some more lesson content. If I like, I can shift things around. But if I didn't want to have these proofs in here, I can simply go in and delete them. I can also shift them around. So we'll show that second, but there we go. So you can see I have this proof in here. Maybe I don't need my students to see a proof. I can completely remove this section of this page by clicking the delete button. Am I sure I want to delete it? Yes, I would like to delete it. So that will remove it from the page. Okay, it's still here. I need to refresh. But now on this page, I just have this checkpoint question. So my students won't see the proof. There we go. I can also instead do some shuffling. So maybe I think it would be a cool idea for my students to see the proofs, but they're not required to see them. So instead of breaking the flow of the lesson for my students and having to skip through the proofs themselves, maybe instead I might want to just shift the proofs down to the end of the lesson. So you can see down here, I have this exercises section. So maybe for this proof, I just want to shift it down. So I can click on it and I can drag it down in here to the end of the lesson so that it won't break the student's flow. I also have this student project in here. Maybe I don't want my students to do a student project. I can also just delete that. There's lots of different customization that I can do with this specific lesson content. Okay. So that's a very, very quick tour of how I could potentially edit the lessons themselves. If I go back to my content repository, there's another cool version here of this content repository that I can look at. So instead of looking at the lessons and assignments as I was just a moment ago, I can instead look at specifically all of the questions that are part of this material. So that specific question that we were doing was substitution. If I wanted to find that, I know that was in chapter 5. So if I click on this chapter 5 folder, I have 3 different folders in here. And this is what it looks like for all of the different chapters for our OpenStax books. And you can see I have it separated into text. So those are the questions that are actually inside of the lesson text. I have template questions and I have supplementary questions. So if I wanted to take a look specifically at that substitution question that we were practicing earlier, I can click into text, and that was in the substitution section, divided by sections. And then you can see all of the different checkpoint questions that were in that section. That one that we were looking at is checkpoint 5.25. And I can now see a preview of this question if I'd like to make sure it's the same question. And you can see that it is. This is the one we were working with. From this preview page, I can try it out and see what the feedback and everything would look like just as a student would. So you can see this is the similar sort of feedback that we were seeing in the actual lesson itself. I can also now, and this is the beauty of this, so now that you have this book in your platform, as a starting point, I can say, I really liked this question, but I think it would be really cool if, I don't know, I had a trig function or something inside of here. There's different things you could try. So I might say, if I take a look at the edit view of this question, I can now see the behind the scenes of how this question was created. So I can look at the algorithm and what code was written here to create the randomization. And I could also edit it if I wanted to. I could make it so that that question has trig functions in there if I wanted, or I don't know, I could edit it however I wanted to. So that's kind of the beauty of this, is that I now have all of these starting points. I don't have to start from scratch and create all my questions algorithmically from a blank page. I can do it based on looking at these questions that have already been authored. So I will cancel out of this. So now that being said, I have all of those different checkpoint questions that I can use and edit as I'd like. I also had, if we recall, in, let me refresh the content repository so we can get all of our folders looking nice again. If I look again, I also had this template questions folder. So in this folder, we have a selection of different exercises from each chapter. It's approximately one per section of the book. And these are additional practice questions that your students could use on top of the lessons. There's one thing my students always ask me, it was, can I have some more practice, please? Students always ask me for more practice. So if you wanted to provide that for them on top of the infinite practice they get inside of their lessons, then we have these different template questions that you can look at. So for these template questions, they're, as I said, one from each section. They're a great starting point for you to look at and modify. And if you ever wanted to create a different version of it, you can always click on this little checkbox, and I can say, okay, I know I like this version of the question, but I want to create one that's similar to it, but I don't want to lose this one. So I'll clone this question, create a new copy of it. So I will, now that I've cloned it, I can go refresh my content repository and go into my questions, and you can see that clone has appeared here. I can easily move this question into that same folder. So that was in this folder, so I'll move it there. And then now that I have this question cloned, I can do any editing to it that I might like and have a new version of the question. So I can go into the edit view. I can change the wording if I want. I can change the type of equation that's here. I can edit the feedback and give more details to the feedback if I'd like, all of those sorts of things. So you can see it's pretty straightforward to take this starting point that you have and customize it however you might wish. Okay, so one other thing that I wanted to very quickly mention is once you have come and played around with these template questions, maybe made some more of your own, you can then take these questions and turn them into an assignment. So I just want to quickly show you how fast that process is. So if I go into my assignments tab, let's say I want to make an assignment out of those template questions in the integration section. You can see that I don't currently have any assignments, but I can create a new one. So I'll create an assignment. I can give it a name. So maybe I'll call it integration, since that's the chapter we're looking at. I can give it a description. I can do some different modifications to how the assignment will appear to students. Pardon me. And then I can go into the Select Questions tab, and I have different options here. I can import questions from the content repository, which is what we're going to do. We're going to import those questions we just quickly looked at. I can also edit or create brand new questions to add into this assignment, but let's just quickly import. You can see I have this now smaller version of the content repository that I can look through. So if I wanted to add those questions we were just looking at, I can navigate to that folder. I can then select all of the questions if I'd like. I can select maybe only a few. Maybe this clone that I just created isn't quite done yet, so maybe I don't want to add it. And then I just select import. And that will take a moment because I'm screen sharing. There we go. And now all of the questions have been added to the assignment. I can assign different point values to each question. So maybe this question's worth 2 points instead of 1. Maybe this one's worth 3 points, and you can see the total points is changing as I'm changing the values here. And the only thing that's left to create an assignment is to change some different properties. I will not take you through all of these. There's lots of different things you can do, like assign maximum attempts and give students a time limit. But once I've selected all my policies, I can save and close. It'll give me this little page to tell me all of the different properties of this assignment, and then I hit save and close again. And as fast as that, I've created an assignment for my students to try. So if I go back to my home page and I go into chapter 5, you can now see that this assignment has appeared in the student view, and we can go ahead and start that if we would like. Okay, so that was a very quick, lightning fast tour of what Möbius could look like using the OpenStax Calc content. I will stop sharing if I can figure out how to do that. But that being said, that was a very, very quick lightning tour. And there's a lot of different subtleties of how that works, and there's lots of questions you may have about how to write the algorithms and how that all works. And I wanted to mention that you would never be doing it alone. We have lots of support and a great onboarding program here at DigitalEd to help you out with navigating the content and navigating the platform and creating your own content. So we have a complimentary onboarding program for all new customers. It's a fantastic program that you would go through with either me or somebody else on the customer experience team. You'd have in-person Q&A sessions with us via Zoom or learning sessions, depending on if you choose to have us teach you Möbius or whether you choose to use our onboarding MOOC, which you can see is under the 4th point there. So we have some on-demand resources for instant results on figuring out Möbius. So we have our onboarding MOOC, which is a massive open online course. So it's basically a Möbius course on how to use Möbius. We also have our online help system, and we also have a advanced version of the MOOC where you can learn a lot more in-depth stuff about Möbius on top of the basic onboarding program, which is coming this fall. You'll also have direct access to our customer experience team, so you can always send support@digitaled.com an email, and we'll be happy to help you out with anything, any issue or any question you might ever have. You'll also be paired up with a dedicated customer success manager that can help you out in different scenarios. And just very quickly, we have our Möbius continuous learning program where if maybe you're past your onboarding stage and you have new instructors that are joining, they can continue to learn with us through Möbius continuous learning. And finally, we have our Möbius community, which is a Slack channel for Möbius customers. So anyone in the Möbius community where you can kind of trade ideas or ask questions to different people outside of digital ed, so from people from different universities or schools that are using Möbius and might have a bit more experience than you. Okay, and that is the end of my spiel. Johnny, back over to you. If you're still there. Are you there, Johnny? Oh.
Yeah, I think maybe there were some connectivity issues. I don't see him currently here, but we have some audience questions if you wanted to take those.
Yeah. Let me see. Okay, so I see one from Audrey. Can different themes in Möbius be applied to the OpenStax content? Yes, Audrey, so you can, so that question, for all of your content inside of Möbius, you have the option to apply different CSS themes. So you can change how everything looks. And yes, you can apply a different theme to the OpenStax content. That's a good question, Audrey. Can I go through the algorithm environment of these questions? So that one was from 20 minutes ago. So I did very briefly go through it. If we have some time, maybe I can spend a couple more minutes at the end, but that's if we have some time. I see one from Chelsea. Is there a user community for Möbius? Yes, that is the Möbius community that I was talking about at the end of that onboarding and support slide. Johnny, you are back. Hello.
Hello.
Question
Sorry about that.
3. That's okay. That's okay. Would you like to answer question 3 for me, Johnny, please?
Yeah, I think the question talking about is if I didn't miss anything, pricing related on your site. I've also seen. So yeah, I mean, so Möbius itself, I'll be honest, it's not a free solution. There is a cost per student per calendar year. If you want to learn more about the pricing of Möbius and what it would mean for your students, I'll put this next slide up actually. Reach out to us, marketing@digitaled.com. We'll put you in touch with the right people to give you a better quote and better idea of how much Möbius costs for your institution. And looking here, are there any additional questions, Haley? I just got back a minute ago, so I may have missed some things.
There was one asking from 20 minutes ago asking about going through the algorithm environment. I did very quickly go through it, but I can spend another minute going through it if that's something we would like to do. It looks like there's one more in the chat too. So the very last thing in the main chat, Johnny.
Yeah, someone asked about basically, if I'm understanding the question, can you take Möbius content and put it in some other, third-party web page? And my answer to that is, when it comes to that, you can certainly do so using your learning management system. So if your content, is in Canvas, for example, or D2L, Brightspace, yes, you can take our content and put it there. But to take individual questions and put those elsewhere, reach out to us on the email on the screen, marketing@digitaled.com. We do have some other solutions for more custom APIs we can talk through, but it really, we have to be in touch with our technical team to kind of understand the needs and the asks and what's available. But my answer is, yeah, it certainly could be possible. We have to just have a conversation about what you're looking for. So reach out and we can get in touch with you about that.
Okay, I see 2 more questions have popped up. Christian asked, how did you get Stax content randomized in Möbius? So to create the randomization for those questions, we internally here at DigitalEd spend some time authoring inside the platform. So maybe this is good. I see we're at 45. Do I have a minute, Johnny, to quickly
go ahead.
Share my screen again? Okay. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen again. So how do we randomize things? This is a very good opportunity for me to quickly show the algorithm environment again. Johnny, can you see my screen again?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Okay. So if I go into my content repository and I go to questions, I have the option to just create a new question here. So you can see this is a blank question, so I can start from scratch and create a question here if I'd like. So this is how we did it for the OpenStax content. We internally at DigitalEd would take the checkpoint questions and then we would add our own algorithms to them. So we would create different variables here in this algorithm section. So just very quickly, if I wanted to randomize the coefficient of a linear function that I wanted to take the derivative of, I could create a new variable a, that would be the coefficient of that function, and I could randomize it. So this is a command to create a random integer, and I could create a random integer between 0 and 9, for example, and I can refresh the algorithm preview. And so you can see down here, I have what my variable is called and what it has evaluated to and what the range is, I guess 0 to 8. So if I refresh this preview, you can see that that variable is changing. And then if I wanted to put that variable into that linear function, I could put my variable name and then say times x plus 1, for example. And you can see that that function has appeared here. And I can preview it, and you can see that it has showed up as 2x plus 1. So that is a very quick, very simple tour of what you can, what this algorithm environment could look like. I will mention too that these variables can also be used down here inside of the feedback. So I could use those variables as I write out the solution. And since Audrey mentioned it, the option is here to write a custom CSS theme as well. Yeah, okay.
There's one more question I'll just take care of, Haley, about how would you compare Möbius with Moodle? And I'll even extend that question to how do you compare Möbius to any learning management system like Canvas or Blackboard or, Brightspace by D2L? And my response is, a learning management system is different than what Möbius is, right? A learning management system goes beyond delivering lessons and homework and assignments. It deals with course management, communications, tuition payments, etc. Möbius is strictly focused on the delivery of STEM content, and at that, as you saw today, high impact STEM content. So if anything, we complement a learning management system. We're not trying to displace them. We're trying to provide a better resource specifically for STEM that makes your courses even better. So I could go into much more detail of what parts of the platform, excel compared to Moodle and other LMSs. But I think at the end of the day, it's just, we're not competing. We're trying to complement and enhance the learning management system for STEM courseware delivery. With that in mind, I think we're at the end there. Haley, I don't see any other questions. So I do want to thank everyone for attending today. I do want to make one announcement, and that, an exclusive, promotion or offer we have right now for people who are attending live is to invite you to join our Lunch and Learn. So if you were excited or intrigued by what you saw today in our webinar, we got something special just for you. We want to plan a Lunch and Learn session with you on your campus. We'll dive even deeper into the content that interests you and your department specifically, and more importantly, we'll treat you to lunch. So it's an opportunity to discuss, what you're looking for with our experts. There's no pressure and obligations, just insights and a great meal on us. So if you're interested, again, please reach out to marketing@digitaled.com, and we'll match you up with one of our account executives or customer success managers to arrange the details and a time for this lunch and learn at your school. So with that in mind, I'll pass things back to Lindsay of OpenStax.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Johnny and Haley, for a wonderful presentation today. I always love learning about DigitalEd's incredible offerings. So thank you again for your time and your presentation. And thank you again to our audience members for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us today. We really appreciate your time and your incredible and really thoughtful questions. And we hope to see you at future OpenStax and DigitalEd webinars and events. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.